Welcome back. Are mermaids real? Mermaids, the Body Found wasn't the first event that had millions of Americans asking this question. If you can believe it, mermaid images like the one you're seeing on screen now provoked a national mermaid craze in the mid-1800s. In 1842, legendary showman P.T. Barnum unveiled the Fiji mermaid to audiences, causing America's first mermaid obsession. It's the exhibit that made him famous. No one knows what happened to the original Fiji mermaid, but soon every sideshow of the day had to have one. What we're looking at now are some of the hundreds of knockoffs that survived from the time. But it was another mermaid in Barnum's collection that may be even more interesting to us today. Joining me with former NOAA biologist Dr. Paul Robertson is Barrett Grant. Mr. Grant is a collections advisor to several prominent museums, including the Smithsonian's Museum of American History. And he's a specialist in 19th century American circuses and sideshows, and he's here to talk about that other mermaid in Barnum's collection. Mr. Grant, welcome.
Thank you.
Paul, have you seen these before?
Sure. They're monkey torsos sewn onto fishtails.
Mr. Grant, P.T. Barnum had to know that this was a hoax, right?
Oh, of course. But he knew it would generate curiosity, and that was his genius.
Was he even in the circus business at the time?
No, at the time he was busy running the museum that bore his name, Barnum's American Museum, which included exotic animals, but was really devoted to human curiosities.
I believe the term at the time was freak show.
Yes, P.T. Barnum had the albino twins, he had the human giants, he had dwarves, but the real big attraction at his museum was the Fiji mermaid.
But the Fiji mermaid wasn't his only mermaid.
No, it wasn't. Years after the Fiji mermaid craze had died down, Barnum heard about another exhibit making the rounds in a small traveling sideshow out west called the Real Mermaid. It was very, very popular, generating huge interest.
What we're looking at now is a shot of crowds lining up to see the Real Mermaid?
That's right. These photos depict the National Circus sideshow that sold the Real Mermaid to Barnum.
You brought with you a flyer from that era that Barnum used to advertise and help promote his attraction.
Yes, this is a 19th century flyer that was touting the grand exhibit that P.T. Barnum was planning.
Sorry, we have an image that we can throw up on the screen here for viewers at home to take a look at this flyer.
Wow.
Paul, this is similar to what you found?
No, this is unbelievably similar to the remains we found.
Mr. Grant, Barnum acquired the mermaid sometime during the Civil War, but then he held on to it, looking for the right time in order to promote it and display it.
Absolutely, and that time was July 1865. The Civil War had ended. The entire country was just ready to move on, and P.T. Barnum was ready to move on with the grand unveiling of his Real Mermaid.
This was 20 years after the Fiji mermaid, so in a way, you could say that this was the first blockbuster sequel in American history, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And it seems like a lot more was happening beyond the Real Mermaid. There are other attractions that are advertised in the flyer.
What he was planning was a 19th century equivalent of Woodstock. All the big acts were going to be there. He was planning to bring back Chang and Eng. These were the world-famous Siamese twins. They hadn't been seen for over 25 years. He brought them out of retirement.
And that's the world's smallest man? Do I see that?
Yes, this is General Tom Thumb. He measured 23 inches tall.
But the event never got off the ground.
No, it didn't. Look at the date of the exhibit, July the 15th, 1865. 2 days before the show was to open, on July 13th, 1865, a terrible fire broke out at the museum, burned it to the ground. It was one of the worst fires in New York City history.
So the show's over before it even starts, and the Real Mermaid is lost forever.
That's what we thought.
Well, what have you learned since?
Well, 2010 was the bicentennial year for P.T. Barnum, and in going and finding materials for our retrospective, one of our researchers stumbled upon a photo collection that was buried in the National Archives for decades.
Let's put one of those up right now if we can.
Oh my God.
Now, to the best of our knowledge, these are the only known photographs of Barnum's real mermaid.
Wow.
Let's show the rest of those because there are more.
Wow. 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 Yeah, it's the crest.
These are incredible. Paul, what do you see? What are you thinking when you look at these?
Well, that's definitely not a monkey torso sewn onto a fishtail, that's for sure.
This is really an incredible bit of history, and the imagery is just fantastic. Mr. Grant, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
We'll be back with more right after this. Coming up, what was hunting with a weapon thousands of feet below the surface of the ocean? We'll show you the astonishing YouTube video. And later, we'll reveal the footage of what might be the most extraordinary evidence of mermaids ever recorded that has never been seen before. Watch it live when we come back.